In today's demo video, I'm going to be showcasing the CAHPS surveys that are mandated by CMS for many of the ACOs and providers across the nation. Now, it's a struggle to get patients to complete these on time and with positive scores. But with the process that's implemented by CureHealth and our voice AI, Sheila, we can actually see how we can gain easy insights onto how the patients are feeling, and we can actually turn these into actionable items to make our processes as the provider so much smoother and increase our CAP score metrics. Now, I'm going to have a long conversation with Sheila, pretending to be a patient. This conversation was shortened for your convenience, but in reality, it's close to 8 minutes long. This is 8 minutes that the ACO's clinical team is actually going to be saving.
Hello, Eric. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. I have a few questions to ask you regarding your care experience. Let's get started. How often can you get an urgent appointment if needed?
It's pretty hard. I would say not often.
I appreciate your honesty, Eric. It can be challenging when urgent appointments are hard to come by. Does your provider explain things in a way you understand?
No, sometimes I have a hard time understanding my care condition.
Thank you for your honesty, Eric. It's important that you feel comfortable understanding your care. Does your provider listen to you?
Yeah, most of the time.
Thank you for that response, Eric. It's reassuring to know that your provider listens to you most of the time. Does the practice staff educate you on your health conditions?
Yeah, they try to, but I just don't get it.
I appreciate your feedback, Eric. It's understandable that sometimes the information may not be clear. Does anyone talk to you about a healthy diet or exercise?
Oh, no, they don't do that.
Thank you for sharing that, Eric. It's important to have discussions about diet and exercise as part of your care. Does your provider discuss prescriptions you are taking?
Yes, they do, because I forget my prescriptions a lot.
Thank you for sharing that, Eric. It's helpful that your provider discusses your prescriptions, especially if you find it challenging to remember them. Is it easy to get referral appointments with specialists?
No, not always.
Thank you for your honesty, Eric. It can be frustrating when getting referral appointments with specialists is not easy. I'll share this summary with our care team so they can review it and provide further guidance on next steps. Thank you for being so open and cooperative.
So you can see in this sample conversation how easy this is between a patient and Sheila. Not only is Sheila actually asking the questions, but she's also having a real conversation, which shows the patient that Sheila cares. This is even more important in certain types of depression screenings or other SDOH needs. If you want to reduce the chattiness of Sheila, you can always have that option as well and make it more of a straightforward survey. And of course, this conversation doesn't need to happen on our app, but it can also be a simple phone call to the patient. Now, I want to show you what we actually can do with this data and how it's going to impact the bottom line of an ACO or provider. All right, so now I'm opening up Eric Johnson's patient chart on our backend platform, which is called Cure Plus. This is our own platform, and I'm going to scroll down to the survey. You can see that all of the survey responses by Eric were summarized by our AI and were actually shortened up. We can see the full response if we want, but for the convenience of the provider, we've left it to this summarized version. Now, if you actually look at the bottom there, we can see that Sheila is also providing an actual summary of the conversation between her and Eric. Now, one of the issues that Eric's been reporting is timely care, and another one is difficulty understanding the care conditions or actually knowing what he needs to do. These are some very pointed feedback that we could actually drive rules upon. These rules would come in the format of Sheila actually adding things to the patient, like educational surveys, sharing discharge instructions multiple times, or reminding Eric to follow up with the provider if he has any questions. Now, I'll be shifting gears to a more population health focused perspective on this pre-CAHPS survey. Now, we can see here, this is a pretty big chart with all the survey questions, which has some numbers on it. What these numbers actually represent is the percentage of people that took the survey and answered the top box, like, oh yeah, they do that all the time. Now we can see that our instance is lacking in several ways, like the appointments, like making sure that the patients know their care conditions, and many others. This entire graph can be shown in multiple different ways, and the data can be driven out through an API to fit whatever form factor that you want. Also, if this specific scoring system doesn't fit your needs, that's editable as well. It can be scored in any way that you like. Now this actually shows us holistically from a provider perspective, what is it exactly that we need to change before we do the real CAHPS survey to actually get better metrics and increase the rating and satisfaction for our patients. Now, I've shown you an end-to-end workflow of this pre-CAHPS survey that we've created, but keep in mind that this entire process can be edited to fit the ACO or provider's needs. Whether the questions need to change or Sheila's interaction style isn't good enough, every single fine detail is customizable to make sure that we're getting the most value out of these pre-CAHPS surveys and actually able to drive better scores on the real CAHPS survey.